In a quiet little town surrounded by woods, there lives a boy named Jess. He is in 5th grade, and at home he lives with his parents and 4 sisters, 2 older and 2 younger. His family is struggling financially, and even though his father works hard at a hardware store, he rarely shows Jess much affection. As the only boy in the house, Jess is constantly expected to handle chores like fixing pipes or taking out the trash. At home, he often feels invisible except to his little sister Mabel, who genuinely cares about him. One morning, Jess wakes up early to practice running because he wants to become the fastest runner in his class. He trains in a pair of old sneakers that are so worn out they have been taped together after the soles started coming off. But just as he is about to leave for school, his mother throws them away. Instead, he is told to wear a pair of hand-me-down shoes from his sister Brenda. Jess hates the idea, mostly because they are girls' shoes, and to make it worse, they are bright pink. His father, Aaron, tells Mary to buy Jess a new pair, but the family is already struggling just to cover daily meals. So, in the end, Jess has no choice but to wear Brenda's shoes to school. The moment he gets on the bus, Jess is bullied by the school bully, a girl named Janice. Every day he rides to school with his little sister Mabel. Things are not much better in class either, where 2 boys named Scott and Gary make fun of him, especially because of the pink shoes. Then in the middle of class, the principal walks in with a new student, a pretty girl named Leslie. Right away, Jess cannot help but notice her. Later during recess, Leslie heads toward the bathroom near the field, but Janice, who is an older 8th grader, stops her and demands money. Leslie refuses. At the same time, Jess is getting ready for a running race on the field. As everyone lines up, Leslie suddenly steps up to the starting line too. Gary tries to chase her away because it is supposed to be a boys' race, but Jess stands up for her. The race begins, and for Jess, this feels like the one moment where he can finally prove himself. He is in the lead for most of it, but just before the finish line, Leslie passes him and takes first place. Jess ends up in 2nd, and the loss hits him hard. After school, Leslie gets off the bus with Jess and Mabel. That is when Jess finds out she has just moved in nearby and now lives close to his house. Because of that, he feels awkward about ignoring her, especially now that she is his new neighbor. Back at home, things are as unpleasant as ever. The house is full of noisy sisters, bossy older siblings, and a mother who is always exhausted from housework. As for Jess, he feels like a shadow there, present but constantly overlooked. So most of the time, he escapes to his room and spends his time drawing. On another day at school, Jess feels especially excited when his art teacher, Miss Edmonds, is in class. Leslie quickly notices that Jess has a bit of a crush on her. On the school bus, she also takes an interest in his drawings. Later on, she makes sure to tell him that his artwork is the coolest she has ever seen. And that simple praise means a lot to Jess. Back in class, the teacher announces that Leslie's essay has received the highest score, and she is asked to read it in front of everyone. Her story is about diving underwater, and as Jess listens, his imagination immediately comes alive.
Fish wait for me, wobbling like I'm going deeper past the wrinkled rocks and dark sea.
While she speaks, his mind starts creating vivid scenes, building an entire world out of her words. After that, the class is given a new assignment to write a summary of a TV show. Leslie admits that she does not have a TV at home and asks for an alternative task. The moment her classmates hear that, they start making fun of her. The bullying does not stop after school either. On the bus, Leslie sits at the very back, which happens to be Janice's usual spot. Jess quickly steps in and pulls her away before things turn worse. Whether she looks for trouble or not, Janice always seems to find a way to target Leslie. Strangely, Leslie tries to take it lightly, almost like she is learning to live with it, and that confuses Jess. At one point, Leslie asks Jess what he does for fun. So Jess suggests they race again, this time all the way down the road. They run together until they reach the woods near their homes. Along the way, they start talking about their lives. Leslie explains that her parents are writers, which is why she is so good at storytelling. Meanwhile, Jess shares that he loves to draw, especially things that come from his imagination. While they are talking, Leslie notices a rope tied to a large tree. She suggests they try it out, and just like that, their little adventure begins. Leslie then comes up with an idea. She wants to create a place that belongs only to the two of them, a place where no one like Janice or Scott can bother them. She calls it a kingdom, and with excitement, she begins to bring it to life through her imagination. Deep in the woods, they discover an abandoned car and a forgotten treehouse. Leslie tells Jess to imagine that they have found a lost kingdom, a magical forest filled with creatures like trolls, dark enemies, and shadow warriors. At first, Jess feels uneasy since he has never explored this part of the woods before, but slowly he lets himself get carried away by Leslie's imagination. For the first time, he truly feels alive. From that moment on, every day after school, they return to the woods to build their secret place, a world where they are king and queen of their own kingdom. And this is where their world truly begins. Welcome to Bridge to Terabithia.
Bridge to Terabithia.
On another day after school, Janice causes trouble again. She pretends to trip and accuses Jess of sticking his foot out, which leads the bus driver to punish him by making him walk home. By the time Jess arrives, he finds Leslie covered in ketchup that Janice had thrown from the back of the bus. Leslie asks Jess to help her clean up at his house, worried that if her parents find out, they might come to school and cause a scene, which would only embarrass her. At home, Mary warmly greets Leslie and is happy to see that Jess finally has a friend. Not long after, the two head out to their secret place, where they start opening up about their lives. It turns out they both feel a similar kind of loneliness. Leslie's parents are always busy writing, while Jess's parents are focused on work and making ends meet, leaving little room for attention or warmth. As they sit and talk, acorns suddenly fall on them from above, where squirrels are playing in the trees. Instantly, they turn the moment into part of their fantasy, imagining their kingdom under attack. Jess even pictures the squirrel as a version of Gary, which pushes him to face it with unexpected courage. In that same moment, Leslie looks out into the distance and imagines a magical world stretching beyond the trees. She gives their kingdom a name, Terabithia. Not long after, Jess celebrates his birthday and receives a small surprise from his family. For a brief moment, he even gets to spend time with his father. But that moment does not last. Aarons claims the gift might be broken and plans to return it, when in reality he just wants the money back. Around the same time, Maybelle mentions that their greenhouse has been attacked by animals, leaving their crops in ruins, even though those plants are essential for their food. In response, Aarons sets up traps to kill whatever is responsible. Jess feels uneasy about it and does not agree with his father's decision. The next day, on the way to school, Leslie gives Jess a birthday gift, a set of art supplies that looks expensive. Jess feels guilty accepting it, but at the same time, he is genuinely happy because it supports something he truly loves. At school, to avoid being bullied by Scott and Gary, Jess chooses to stay close to Miss Edmonds and help her, just to get inside without being bothered. Later in Terabithia, a large tree suddenly falls and nearly puts them in danger, threatening to destroy their treehouse. Leslie turns it into part of their story, saying it is the work of trolls sent by the Dark Ruler after their earlier defeat. As always, their imagination transforms everything around them, giving them a sense of freedom and joy that they cannot find anywhere else. One morning, the sound of a trap going off wakes Jess. Not wanting his father to kill the animal, he quietly takes it into the woods and sets it free. But when he returns home, his father is furious. To him, Jess has just saved the very creature that has been destroying their food. Aarons tells him to stop living in his imagination, insisting that this is reality, and pests have to be dealt with. That moment stays with Jess. It hurts more than anything, feeling unappreciated by his own father. He sees how easily his father can be warm with Maybelle, but never with him. Even when Leslie invites him back to Terabithia after school, Jess holds back. After what his father said, it almost feels like imagining things is something wrong. But Leslie does not see it that way. To her, Jess is the king of Terabithia, and that belief slowly gets him thinking again. Not long after, he sketches out a plan to go troll hunting with her. Around the same time, he gives Leslie a dog he has adopted, and together they name it their troll hunter. In Terabithia, their imagination feels limitless. They build a world that cannot be seen by ordinary eyes, a place that only exists for those brave enough to imagine it.
Nice feet.
Run!
One day at school, Maybelle comes to Jess with a problem. Janice has taken her lunch, and younger students have been complaining too, saying Janice demands money from them just to use the bathroom. Maybelle wants Jess to stand up to her, but he knows that hitting a girl could get him expelled. So instead, Jess and Leslie come up with another plan in Terabithia. Leslie suggests writing a fake love letter, pretending it is from a popular boy at school. They fill it with compliments and sweet words, then leave it on Janice's desk early the next morning. After school, Janice goes to meet the boy, only to be rejected immediately. She returns to the bus embarrassed, especially after bragging about it earlier. Maybelle is thrilled, feeling like justice has finally been served. Later that day, Jess plans to go to Terabithia with Leslie, but she invites him to her house instead. Her parents have just finished working on their book, and Jess gets to meet her mother. He is asked to help paint the house, and for the first time, he experiences what it feels like to be in a warm and supportive family. Even as a guest, he feels appreciated. Jess heads home feeling happy, but that feeling fades when he thinks about his own father. He lowers his expectations again, knowing that any words from him will likely sound more like hoarders than care. On another day at school, Jess gets shoved around by Gary and Scott. During that moment, Miss Edmonds notices his sketchbook and recognizes his talent. She encourages him to focus more on art. As he is about to head into class, Leslie mentions that Janice has been crying in the girls' bathroom. They both assume it has something to do with the fake letter. Jess asks Leslie to go in and find out what is really going on. After school, Jess asks Leslie what she found out about Janice and why she was crying in the girls' bathroom. It turns out Janice has been going through something much worse at home. Her father has been abusing her, to the point where neighbors had to call the police. The news spreads quickly and soon the older students all know about it. Janice feels deeply embarrassed, and in a surprising turn, she even asks Leslie for advice. Jess cannot believe it. Seeing someone like Janice, who always acts tough, now seeking help from someone else. Not long after, Leslie invites Jess to return to Terabithia on Sunday, but Jess has to go to church. Leslie becomes curious and wants to come along, so Jess suggests she wear a dress for the occasion. On Sunday, Leslie shows up looking completely different, though she keeps her usual shoes, which makes Jess laugh. While they are at church, Leslie gets an idea. Terabithia needs a bell. One day at home, Jess is asked by his father to grab a drill from the greenhouse. He is given the key to the storage cabinet. After getting the tool, he gives Maybelle a small piece of advice about placing her flowers somewhere they can get sunlight. The next morning, Jess is woken up by his father, who is angry because the key has not been returned. Jess realizes he has lost it and the situation is serious, since it also includes the key to his father's workplace. Frustrated, Aarons criticizes Jess and even takes a jab at his love for drawing. That pushes Jess to promise he will find the key no matter what. On the bus, Leslie notices that Jess is in a bad mood. After hearing what happened, she realizes she knows where the key is. It turns out that while planning the bell for Terabithia, Leslie had asked Maybelle to help her prepare a surprise for Jess. Maybelle found the keys on the ground and handed them to Leslie. Jess almost gets upset with his sister, but instead, they set out after school to retrieve the keys. When they arrive, they notice the water has risen, making things more dangerous than usual. Still, they manage to cross using their rope. To get the keys back, they face what feels like a series of challenges. In their imagination, they are attacked by squirrels and vultures.
Leslie, get behind me.
Jess, turn around, there's more.
Here, take this.
Forcing them to run toward their castle. In their story, the soldiers of Terabithia come to help, and the attackers retreat. Jess climbs up to retrieve the keys that Leslie had hung to create the sound of their bell. At one point, he slips and falls, but in his mind, a troll with Janice's face catches him, saving him just in time. In the end, he gets the keys back. As they make their way home, the rain starts again and the water rises even higher, forcing them to hurry. That day becomes one of their most exciting adventures, and Jess truly enjoys every moment he spends with Leslie. Back at home, Jess hands the keys to his father without saying a word. Then on Saturday morning, he receives an unexpected phone call from Miss Edmonds, his favorite teacher. She had originally planned to go to a museum with her nephew, but since that plan fell through, she decides to invite Jess instead, knowing how much he loves art. Jess quickly asks his mother for permission while she is still half asleep resting. That morning, Jess heads to the city museum with Miss Edmonds. For a moment, he thinks about inviting Leslie, but he decides not to. Being there with Miss Edmonds feels special to him. It is his first time visiting a place like this, filled with famous paintings, and the experience means everything. Jess loves art, and Miss Edmonds is the only adult who truly sees his talent and encourages him. While they take a break, she reminds him to keep his mind open. The same idea Leslie once shared with him in Terabithia. With an open mind, new worlds can be created. After their trip, Miss Edmonds takes Jess home. But when he arrives, something feels wrong. His entire family is sitting together, quiet and in tears. Mary had thought Jess was missing because she did not know he had gone to the museum. Then Aarons delivers the devastating news. Leslie has died. She had tried to swing across the water, the rope broke, she hit her head, and she drowned. In that instant, Jess's world collapses. He refuses to believe it. Outside, Leslie's house is already surrounded by police cars. Jess retreats to his room, overwhelmed with guilt. He blames himself, wishing he had invited her to the museum that morning. The pain becomes too much, and eventually he falls asleep. The next morning, Jess wakes up as if nothing has happened. The shock is so deep that for a moment he forgets that Leslie is gone. Later that day, accompanied by his parents, he attends her memorial. He struggles to understand how to face something like this, especially when it involves someone so important to him. When he sees Miss Edmonds, Jess still speaks as if Leslie is alive, suggesting that next time they should bring her along because she would have loved the museum. It shows just how hard it is for him to accept the truth. Back at school, Gary congratulates Jess for now being the fastest runner in class. Instead of feeling proud, Jess lashes out and hits him, sending him crashing into the wall. Because of that, Jess is sent out of the classroom. His teacher understands what he is going through. She is grieving too, remembering how special Leslie was as a student. She knows this loss is heavy, and even more so for Jess. Life no longer feels normal for him. Later on, when Scott and Gary start bothering Jess again, something unexpected happens. Janice steps in and defends him, even standing up to Scott. From that moment, things begin to change and Janice becomes friendly toward Jess. But as Jess gets off the bus, it feels strange not having Leslie walking behind him anymore. Without thinking, he heads straight into the woods. He finds the broken rope and the fallen tree that now acts as a bridge. Standing there, he calls out for Leslie, hoping for some kind of answer. But all he hears is silence. After that, Jess hears his name being called from a distance. For a moment, he thinks it might be Leslie, or maybe just his imagination from Terabithia. But it turns out to be Maybelle, who has followed him into the woods. She asks for help because she is too scared to cross, and she is clearly worried about him. Jess, still overwhelmed, tells her to go home, insisting that this place belongs only to him and Leslie. Hurt and in tears, Maybelle runs back and tells their father what happened. Jess continues on to their treehouse. He looks at everything they built together, including the gifts Leslie once gave him. In his grief, he throws them into the river. Then, in his mind, a dark presence appears, chasing him through the forest. He runs until he stumbles, only to realize that it is actually his father who has come looking for him. For the first time, his father shows genuine care and warmth. He understands that Jess has lost something far greater than just a friend. There are no lectures, no judgment, just quiet support and acceptance. Something Jess has longed for all along. That night, Jess goes to see Maybelle and apologizes for pushing her away earlier. But she stays silent, still hurt by what happened. Then he notices something on her desk, a drawing of him. In that moment, he realizes that all this time, the one person in the house who truly cared and supported him has been his little sister. The next day, Jess builds a small raft and places a drawing of Leslie on it. It is his way of letting go, of saying goodbye to his best friend. After that, he runs to Leslie's house and finds out that her family is moving away that very day. Jess asks if he can take some of the leftover wood from their house. He is allowed to take anything except the dog, which he chooses to leave behind for Leslie's family. Using that wood, Jess begins to build something. With the skills he has learned from working around the house, he creates something not for himself, but for Maybelle. A few days later, Jess convinces Maybelle to come with him into the woods. Together, they stand at the edge of the river that separates the real world from Terabithia. The old rope swing is gone now, replaced by a bridge that Jess built himself, a symbol of his growth and courage. He invites Maybelle into this world and crowns her as the new princess of Terabithia. Jess shows her that beyond the quiet trees and hidden paths lies a secret, a magical kingdom called Terabithia, a place that can only be entered by those who dare to imagine.
So what do you think?
Even though Leslie is gone, Terabithia still lives on. Jess learns that love and imagination never truly disappear. What someone leaves behind continues to live as long as it is shared with others, and now he chooses to share that light with his sister. So the moral of the story is sometimes you only realize how much someone means to you after they're gone, and the only way to hold on is by keeping their love alive inside you.